Okay, I think that's everybody. Welcome, everybody. I know this is an unconventional way to start the year and kind of awkward for me. This is year 28 for me, and I feel like it's kind of in some ways year one because everything's kind of different. I appreciate you putting your cameras on, at least for now. On our next meeting next week, if you would like to just substitute a picture of yourself, that's fine. I don't always feel like being on Zoom meetings, live on the camera either. So if you have a situation where you just don't feel like it, just at least put a picture, because I do need to start learning everybody's name. I don't want to just be calling you, black square number 2. So if you want to switch that out for next time, that's fine with me. Let's see. Okay, last one just got admitted. I wanted to spend a little time walking you through the Blackboard system that I've set up, and that will get us to talk about the syllabus and our week ahead and all of those things. So if you have access to Blackboard, if you could go ahead and just kind of like toggle over to the Blackboard, or you can follow along. I'm going to do a screen share here. So when you land on the first page of the Blackboard, you'll see the Start Here page, and there's some information here. You'll also find the same stuff on the syllabus. Just a few items. The telephone number here is my Zoom voice number that the school gave me. So you can text that. Sometimes it's easier to text than email. Just the first time you do it, make sure you tell me who you are. I'm pretty responsive with that. Email, I'm pretty responsive with that too, but probably faster the Google Voice. Both of my emails are listed there, but I tend to respond to the district one a little more quickly, I think. But I do look at both of those emails. Okay, so we're gonna look at the schedule in a minute that I sent out last week, but there is a virtual office hours scenario every day from 2:45 until 4. They adjusted the schedule so that classes are shorter and you have time in the afternoon if you need to go and visit your instructor. So basically, I have a Zoom meeting that's open and I'm working, and if somebody shows up, I admit them in, we have a talk about whatever they might need help on or have a question about, and then I go to the next person if there's somebody else queued up for that. So there's a link here. There are links also in the Google Classroom and that sort of thing. And then I do have a pretty active Twitter account. I like to tweet stuff about the ACT test. I like to retweet stuff that's happening with sports and band and stuff for our school whenever that starts up. I like to put in stuff about scholarships and that, so you can follow me. I don't follow students back on that account. I just think that's a little creepy. So. I'm not going to be scrolling through your feed, but if you want to do that, you can. Okay, so then after that, I put a bunch of important links in here. These are our 2 Zoom meeting links so that they're front and center there for you. Also over here, I put a couple of handy links to some STC stuff. I'll talk about formative in a minute. We're going to use that to take attendance every day. But I'll get to that in a minute. There's a link to it. And then also the class video playlist. We're required to record our class periods and have them available off, after session. So if for some reason you're not able to join in the live session on a particular Tuesday, then you can go right there, and I'm making a playlist on my YouTube channel so that you can always see what happened in the live session whenever you might have been absent. So all those things are there to help you. I might add a few more links as the term goes on. The rest of this, I think you can kind of look through on your own. There's some stuff that the college wants you to know about resources. There's some, course policies, but I really just pulled those from the syllabus, etc. So the next step would be to head over here to where it says weekly modules. So if you're with me in the Blackboard, then go ahead and click on that. Any questions up to this point? You can unmute yourself if you have a question and just interrupt me. No? Too early for questions? Questions start at 11:30 or 1:30 or something? Okay. Every week, usually on Monday, before the day before our class period starts, I'll add the new week folder. So this is this week's folder. You can click on that, and you can see there's an overview of the week, the objectives, the things that we're going to learn that week and work with, and then probably the highlight of this folder is the activities and things, basically the stuff that you have to do. I was talking with my students from the springtime, when we were doing the virtual learning, and I wanted to get some feedback from them about how it went, what was effective, because I only know what I did as a teacher. I don't know what other teachers did that might have been helpful. So I got a lot of feedback from them about what they kind of preferred, and I got the feeling that most people preferred having everything at the beginning of the week, not daily. Like you don't want to have to tune in every day and get another assignment. So what I've decided to do is list everything for the whole week. And then that way you can use what they're calling asynchronous time to work on it. So the way that I set up this learning activities and assignment section is basically, here's the stuff that we'll talk about in our live session, and then here are your due dates for the week. Another thing that my students told me is that they appreciated having everything, like things due kind of in a scattered way, not everything due 2 days from now. So I kind of set it up like that as well. They found like that was easier for them to manage their time. So the due dates are listed here. If you're submitting on Google Classroom, I will tell you. Otherwise, the assignment will be here on Blackboard. I don't use Classroom too much. At the beginning I do, because people are trying to get their credentials and get logged on and that sort of thing. But as we get maybe into the end of next week, I probably won't be posting updates and things like that on Google Classroom. STC requires that we use Blackboard so they can, I don't know, oversee or drop in or whatever. So everything will be moving over here. There are a couple of assignments that you'll submit to Google Classroom, and I'll let you know about that because STC doesn't want me to use things like rough drafts for papers or like college admissions essays for their grade. So sometimes there'll be things on Google Classroom, but most things will go on to Blackboard. Questions so far? Everybody okay? Give me a thumbs up. Everybody's okay? Everybody's good? Okay. The rest of what's below here in this folder are the thing, like the things that you need to do along with this assignment. So there's a syllabus that you need to look at, and then there's a quiz that you need to take. I'll talk about that in a minute. But the stuff at the bottom of the folder is for that. But let's go through our little agenda up here for our meeting. So if you click where it says new school schedule, I thought maybe we would take a little bit of time to go through that because I was confused when they gave that to us a couple weeks ago. They didn't have it in this format. I had to put it in this format so it would make sense to me. But I was thinking maybe you might want me to go through it a little bit. You can nod, yeah? Okay, well, if you had classes yesterday, then I think that you probably are getting the gist of it. But basically, this is the schedule until the end of September. September 27th, we're 100% virtual with our classes. Right now, they're saying that we will go to an optional hybrid/virtual situation after that. But it all depends on what's going on with the virus at that time. So until then, we'll be following this schedule. When we switch to the option, some of you will have the option, I think, the whole year to stay virtual if you would like to. But some people might like to go to a hybrid model where they're on campus part of the time and then at home part of the time. So the schedule might shift at that point. But the way they have it set up is so that Monday and Tuesday are kind of like attend live class days. A day is always on Monday, B day is always on Tuesday. So we'll always be meeting on Tuesdays for the next 4 weeks or so. Then I put on here the times that you needed to be present in your class meetings. So that, I kind of highlighted them in yellow because I needed to remember when I needed to be on camera. Then there's a little bit of downtime between the two classes, and then you just go through your class day, going through each of your classes. They did shorten the class periods. And the reason they did that is because at the end of the day at 2:45, until 4 o'clock, the teachers are all kind of in office, student support mode. That means that you can drop in if they have a Zoom going, you can email, they'll respond, whatever way the teacher has decided to do that. I'll have a Zoom meeting open and you can come in. I'll admit one student at a time so that I can talk about whatever they need to talk about. And then when I'm finished with that student, the next one, if there's another one there. So every single day, you have the opportunity to go and ask questions. So if there's something on the assignment that doesn't make sense, or the link isn't working or something like that, then, drop an email or show up in that after school teacher support time. So they're calling that synchronous because we're live, in the session together. Asynchronous on Wednesday and Thursday is when you're working on your own, basically. Now, I have a theory about our administration, and I think that they think that you're going to get up on Wednesday and Thursday and at 8 o'clock start working on your 1A stuff. Maybe you are. I think that's great. I just don't think that's going to happen. I just don't think it is. The reason I think that they think that is because we're supposed to be available on a live Zoom for student help in the last half an hour of each of these class periods. So I think that they think that you're going to be working on your assignments for 1A, tomorrow morning at 8, and if you have a question, your teacher's there, and then you're going to move on and start working on your material for your 2A class, and I just don't think that's how students work. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you kind of like wake up when you wake up and you work on your assignments as, your deadlines are coming up more than anything. But anyway, they will still be available in the second half of each one of these class periods. So if you can't catch me in the afternoon, you can catch me Thursday 9 to 9:30, because that's when I'm supposed to be online for your particular class. Any questions about the way synchronous and asynchronous days work? Anything you want me to go over? You can unmute yourself and interrupt me if you like. I don't mind it. Okay, then Friday is a different situation. On Fridays, they'll be alternating A-B days. So this week is an A week. So Friday, your A day teacher would be saying, oh, we're going to have synchronous or we're going to have asynchronous. The teacher gets to decide whether that's going to be another live session or whether it's asynchronous and you can just have the time to work on your own. I'm going to think that the 1 hour and 15 minutes that I get on Tuesday is plenty. There might be a couple of situations where we might need to do synchronous on Friday, but I'm not planning on it. So on the B days, I don't think we'll be using that time synchronously. Y'all can sleep in. You don't have to get up at 8 in the morning on Fridays. Or I might offer it as, I might say, oh, the research paper's due in a week, so if you want me to go over MLA, I'll come on Friday and do a lesson on that, and you can decide whether you want to join or not. That's how I'm thinking of Fridays for our class. That make sense? Okay. Any questions about this schedule or any questions about the way the schedules are running that I can answer for you? I might know. Okay, for the summer, you should have read How to Read Literature Like a Professor, this book here. The assignment for that is due today in Google Classroom. You need to either upload the document where you did your 2-page kind of super brief summary of the book chapters. You can submit that as an image. If you did it physically in a notebook, take a good clear picture, crop it, and submit 2 images. Or if you did a Google Doc, just turn that in Google Classroom. I'll be grading those today, tomorrow. The rubric is here, but all this stuff was on the Google Classroom that I created for the summer. So hopefully you had access and looked at the way that it's going to be scored. In case you didn't, you might want to, before you turn it in, just make sure that you meet all of these requirements, and probably your goal is to be over here in the excellent section of that rubric, but the rubric talks about how it's going to be scored. Any questions about the summer assignment submission? We are going to be using the book, and the reason that we had you make that sort of 2-page study guide is that it's going to be a tool for the course as we read material. A lot of the material in this course is challenging and difficult. You'll be reading 20 to 40 pages a week. So this is a reading heavy course. So sometimes we'll be going back to that book and saying, oh, remember this chapter, that those tips would be really good in this particular reading selection, that kind of thing. So do keep the book handy. We'll be referring to it throughout the semester. Okay, next on the agenda here is syllabus. You can click here and see the syllabus. I'm not going to go through the syllabus today. I think that's about the most boring thing that you could possibly do. So instead, I made a video, and you can go through the syllabus with me on the video. It's down here by next class period. So down here, there's a link to the syllabus, and then I made a little walkthrough video that you can do. I think it's like 20 minutes. So that way it will go through the syllabus. Next class period on Tuesday next week, I think that's the 1st of September. I'll ask you if there are any questions. We might spend a couple of minutes on it if there's something that you want me to address, but I think I address all the main stuff in that walkthrough video, a little tour of the syllabus. I think that it's better to do that than take class time for that. So just make sure you do that before next class period. Academic integrity is something that they ask us to talk to you about very early on in the course, and it is an important topic. So I want to talk about it a little bit now, and then also there is a quiz for you to do. I think I made the deadline for that Sunday. So there's a 10-question academic integrity quiz. I want you to read a couple of pages from the STC student handbook and then answer the questions on the quiz. You are to keep doing the quiz questions until you get 100. 100 is the only acceptable grade, because then that will be demonstration that you understand the college's rules about academic integrity. So I wish I didn't have to have these conversations, but they ask us to do it on the first day to emphasize the importance of it. Almost every term, I have to dismiss students from my course, the East course and the STC course, for violations of academic integrity. I don't like doing it, but it's not fair to the other students. So it's important to make sure that you're doing your own work for the class, that if you're submitting something, it's your own thought. It is not acceptable to change the words of something that you read and turn that in as your own. So the quiz kind of makes you go through the handbook and learn what is acceptable and what's not acceptable for your assignment turn-in. I would just urge you to make sure that you're taking the time to do your own work. If you're feeling overwhelmed and you need an extension on an assignment, it's better to ask me for an extension than it is to submit something that's not your own. So I would encourage you to take advantage of that. All right, the next thing is class introductions. Personally, I really hate icebreakers where you have to get up and do something. Maybe you love them, but I don't like going to staff developments where they make you stand up and find your birthday partner or something like that. I just don't care to meet that many people, I guess. I don't know. I'm sort of antisocial. But I set up a class introduction slideshow. So I'm thinking that by the end of the week, you could create a slide, and then that way we can all kind of look at the slide that you create, get to know each other. I can get to know you a little bit. Maybe we'll touch on it a little bit next synchronous time. But if you click right here, I made a slideshow. I'd like for you to add a slide to that slideshow by, I think, Friday. Did I put Friday or Saturday? Friday. You can customize that however you want. Just add a slide after class slides right here. The focus of the slide should be who I am and where I'm going. We're all nearing the end of our high school career, so I'm thinking you've already got some plans in the works, some things that you're thinking about doing or pursuing. So I'd like for you to create a slide that demonstrates that. There are some instructions here on slide 2 and some suggestions. So you can think about what you would like to share. Make sure that you include at least 2 multimedia elements. And I'll show you mine to demonstrate that in just a second. So make your slide by Friday, and then that gives you a couple of days to go in and kind of react to classmates' slides. In the toolbar up here, you'll see an icon that looks like a little, text bubble. leave an emoji, leave a thumbs up, leave a heart, leave a comment. Hey, we're both thinking about the same school, whatever. And we'll touch base with this assignment on Tuesday next week. There's some tutorials here just in case you don't know how to do that, but I'm pretty sure you do. My example is here on slide 6. I would recommend, because I did my slide, I would recommend going to your own slide in your Google Drive slideshow, create your slide, and then just, you know, copy it into this slideshow. If you know 10 people are trying to work in the same slideshow, it's going to get glitchy and weird. So what I did was I made this whole background except for the 2 multimedia sections, like this yellow one here and this pink one here. All the rest of this is static. I just made one image, and I just took a screenshot from my one that I made on my own when I was fabricating it, and I just imported it as a background, and then I added my multimedia on top. So I included who I am, which is kind of like stuff I like, my 2 different degrees. I like Mr. Ramos a lot, so there's a picture of him. This is when we were dating. This is like now, and then somebody, I don't know, there was some app that was out maybe a year ago, and somebody sent me this age progression frightening picture of our future. So I included it here to scare you all. And so I just kind of included the things that I like. Obviously, I'm at a different point in my life's journey than you are. So you might include, you know, like colleges that you're interested in, what you think your major might be, or maybe you're just interested in medicine, you know, where you think your life might be going. I put pictures of my family over here, and then camper because I would really, an RV because I would really like to do that as my retirement plan. So then the 2 multimedia things that I put, you can just import a video that you made or one that you like. Maybe there's a song that you really like that you want to share. You can just link it to YouTube on your slide. You can customize that however you want. I have a playlist, and so I'm sharing my music playlist here if you want to go and see my weird tastes. And then I had to get involved in TikTok and Snapchat because I have a 12-year-old niece. And she likes to send me a snap every day with a big old S on it. And so we're at 140 some days right now, but we're on a snap streak. And so I have to tell you this, I don't do TikTok and Snap because I really want to be the cool teacher person. I'm not really that person. I do it because I have a niece and a nephew. So, but I'll share some of my more interesting TikToks and snaps. If you click on that, you can go to that folder and see them because you'll learn something about me through that. Anyway, that's just an example. You're going to put your slides in, you know, somewhere after this class slides once you do yours. I did put some templates and tools if you want to get a cool background. There's some slides that are pre-done that you can download. All that stuff's for free. I like to use Canva a lot. If you don't know about Canva, you definitely should. Then there's some blank slides if you just want to go with these. There's some little icon-y things that you can copy and put into your presentation if you want. I have a cuckoo clock. So that's pretty much it for the introduce yourself. I feel like that way you get to control what people learn about you, and you don't have to stand up in front of everybody and, you know, say what color underwear you're wearing or whatever dumb thing is that they have you doing in those icebreakers. I shouldn't be so critical. I didn't mean to say dumb. I meant to say uncomfortable and frightening. So let me see. Where am I? That's pretty much everything. The last due date here will be next class period, and that's where I'll usually put your reading assignments. So make sure you look at the syllabus before then, read through it. But then there are 4 reading assignments to do for next week. This is a 1-page PDF. Interrogating text helps on taking notes and annotating. Plot is from your textbook. Everybody should have their textbook. Did I already hold it up? I don't know if I held it up in this class period or not. But almost everything comes from this book. If you don't have this book, I will link PDFs for the next week or 2. So this is just linking to a PDF of those pages. But after that, everybody should have their book. So if you're having trouble getting your book, then you can let me know and I'll see what I can do. But they're available there at school. They're not new books, so we have them at school there. So I'd like for you to read this section on plot and take notes. Anything that's in bold is a term that you need to know. That's pretty much it. Then there are 2 stories that I'm going to talk about next Tuesday, and you need to have read them before class because I'm going to talk to you about them like you've read them. And what I'll do is I'll use those 2 stories to kind of model and demo for you what you're going to be doing next week with new stories. So I'm going to assign new stories next week, but on Tuesday I'll use The Story of an Hour and Snow to demonstrate what I want you to do with next week's stories, if that makes sense. So you can wait to read them, but if you wait until if you don't read them before class, then I'm going to be talking about them. You're not going to get the full effect of the tutorial of what to do for next week. So they're kind of like model texts. Snow is 1 page, and The Story of an Hour, I think, is 2 pages. So they're not terribly long. Later into the semester, we'll be reading longer material. That's one of the main differences between these literature classes and the rhetoric classes that you might have taken, 1301 and 1302. Those are writing heavy courses. This is reading heavy. But luckily, most of what we read is imaginative literature, poetry, prose, short fiction, and drama. So I know I've been throwing a lot at you, and every teacher does something a different way. So are there any questions about the way that the Blackboard is set up, or any of these entries that I can help you with or answer a question about? Is there anything that's not clear? You can just unmute yourself and ask me if you want. I'm not as mean as they say. All right, the last thing to look at then is formative. So if you would click right here on this link for formative, or if you're not in Blackboard yet, I did put that link on today's entry on Google Classroom for you, just in case there were some people who couldn't get into Blackboard yet. Formative is the way that I will be taking attendance every day. I'm going to be checking to see who's in the live meeting as you're entering, but WISD is requiring for us to have what they're calling an artifact from you every day of class. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you have to answer a formative question. And I'll show you how that works in a second. They're brief. They're going to be about what we're doing in class. I'm not going to ask you about your favorite color or anything like that. I'm going to ask you about something that we're working on. And so your response during that day is required for attendance, because they're going to require that we prove that students were engaged in class on a regular basis. So the way that I'll be doing that is through formative. If you click there, there's a code. You might want to copy it. I have the teacher interface here, but you should see something that looks like this. All you have to do is go to that website and then put in the code is EJ2YGK. It's right here. And that should set you up with the right class. Informative.
Yes, I had a question.
And then today I just have a little question, maybe write a little paragraph. Which single chapter in How to Read Literature Like a Professor gave you the most insight into literary analysis? What was the insight, and how do you think that could help you? So I'm looking for a short paragraph there, and then you submit, and I get a report that you were present for class. Sometimes I'll put a little video that I want you to watch and respond to, or there could be an image. I could ask you to make something, or it's not always just going to be a little question. But you need to remember to do that today by the end of the day. And then also on Thursday, because Thursday is a B day, it's just asynchronous. So do you think it would be good for me to put a reminder on Google Classroom on Thursday, or do you think that y'all can remember to do that? I don't want to insult you with reminders.
Yes, I think you should put a reminder, because some of us might forget.
What do y'all think? Yes? All right. I'm not going to make it an assignment because the assignment is over here. But I will put like some sort of little stream reminder to do it until you get into the habit of it. Next week, you'll need to do a formative on Tuesday. Obviously, I'll remind you in the synchronous time, Thursday and Friday, because next week, Friday, is a B day. So any day that's supposed to be a B day from that schedule that we were looking at, that one, you have to go and do a formative. That way I can take attendance and prove that you were active for that class period. I hope that makes sense. And I know that it's a little bit annoying to do that on the days that you don't have class, but it's also annoying to make them on days that I'm not teaching. So. Did I say that? I don't think I said that out loud. What else? That's pretty much it from my end. I don't want to throw everything at you. I know that's a lot, but I don't want to give you, tons of stuff on the first day. That's why I made a video for the syllabus instead of doing it today. Are there any questions that you have about, school, about situation that we're in, how things are going to work, what I might know? The teachers and staff have been back for 2 weeks. So I might know things that you have questions about. So if you wanted to, we could do a little Q&A. Is there anybody who has a question like that? You can put it in the chat or you can unmute yourself if you want. We have a little bit of time here in case. I want you to feel like sort of not, everything's kind of question marky, but if there's something I can answer, I'm glad to do it.
For the Blackboard orientation,
is the summer assignment restricted to 2 pages? Yeah, there's a reason why we wanted it to be 2 pages, but I mean, if it's over 2 pages, it's a tool for you, so what's gonna happen is it's gonna be harder for you to find what you're looking for on those 2 pages. We wanted it to be kind of like a reference guide that you could flip and everything was there for you. So it's up to you. If it's long, you're just gonna have more things to look through whenever I ask you to go to it and pick something off of it for an assignment or something like that. So you're not gonna really lose points for that, but two pages. Any other questions? You can post them or unmute yourself if you like. Any questions about the class or anything like that that you'd like to know, or about me? Everyone's shy on the first day. Okay, well, maybe it's because you have so many different opportunities to come and ask questions if you need to. You can email, you can use that Google Voice text number, you can show up after school. I think I'm just gonna be working. I think I'm gonna have that Zoom, it's linked in the Google Classroom, and then it's also on the Start Here page. I think when I'm supposed to have that teacher support time, I'm just gonna be sitting in that Zoom and I'll be working. So if you have a question, you can drop in and we can have a discussion, or I'll be responding to emails. But I don't wanna elongate the time that we have today if we don't need to. Maybe what you could do is go to formative, if you didn't already, and answer today's question so that I can make sure everybody knows how that works. It's pretty simple. And also count your present for today. All right, well, I don't see anything else in the chat. I don't see anybody asking questions, so I guess that's it for today. Most other class periods I think will be going the full time, but I know the first day is kind of stressful, so I will see you next Tuesday. And in the meantime, if you need anything, just let me know. Glad to have you all in class. Bye.